The interview that what's his name, Kevin Spacey, has given to Dan Wootton is very interesting. It precedes the full documentary, which is being shown on Channel 4 from Roast Beef, and it follows all the stuff with the two trials that Kevin Spacey faced. First, the Anthony Rapp trial, and then the criminal trial in the UK in 2023, both of which he was exonerated, and on April the 22nd he was sent another message to respond by the end of that week, with reference to the documentary that's coming up on Channel 4, which is going to be shown in two segments on the 6th and the 7th of May. And they said that they were offering him fair opportunity of 7 days to respond to accusations that date back to 1996. In fact, some of those accusations date back, as he explained to Dan Wootton. In some cases, Kevin Spacey is all over the place. One of the first contributors to make accusations that Kevin Spacey laid hands on him in 1976. So that's that's much before 1996. And the issue here is not so much about clear assault, but about the unequal power dynamic between Kevin Spacey and the people, the young men who he was laying hands on. And you see the same sort of thing in the History Boys, where literally it's talking about laying hands on. And although Kevin Spacey makes it very clear that he never offered anybody any help, and he never expected anybody to ask for any help, he nevertheless talks poignantly and rather intelligently about an idea that he got from his mentor, Jack Lemmon, that he should send the elevator back down. In other words, he should offer a helping hand to others who are on the way up in the business. But I don't think the helping hand which Jack Lemmon was anticipating would be the fumbles that he is accused of. And Dan Wootton, of course, is a very sympathetic ear, but he never fails to squeeze in references to his own situation. Kevin Spacey talks about how he would much prefer not to go on air and make this sort of general apology, which he doesn't think is authentic, but instead he has spent the last few years going around individually and talking to people who he worries he might have upset. He says he's heard things that are not easy to hear, and that's really helped him grow a lot. But he's not going to apologize, he says, for something that he didn't do, despite his words of apology in the past. And it's it's something that has dogged his career. It's halted his career, and this cancel culture, which is what Dan Wootton calls it, where people are judged and silenced without a criminal case to answer, or without a criminal case being proven against them. This is particularly strong in the arts. All that said, the issue isn't about... There's plenty of talented people in the arts who never really get an opportunity. And this is the difference between a competent actor and a star. And a competent actor will do the job, and will do the job very effectively, and it will be a wonderful evening if you go and see them. But a star is something different. A star is somebody on whom the hopes of the company on whom the hopes of the organisation depend, and a star has that charisma. And we expect a star to behave in the manner due to their calling. And a star, you feel you feel you want that person in your room, in your front room, and we invite them in. And the question is not about whether or not somebody has been found legally wanting, or whether somebody has been found legally guilty. The question is, do you want this person in your room? Now, personally, I think Kevin Spacey's talent is outstanding, and his stardom is based on a series of roles which are not particularly attractive. So it's a different quality of presence that he might have to somebody like, let's say, Barbara Streisand or Julie Andrews. But nevertheless, he clearly has star quality, and the question is, has he misused this? Has he abused this? The same could also be said for Dan Wootton, who is at his most unctuous in this interview, in the interview that he's given, not the interview that's on Channel 4 on Tuesday and Wednesday next week. So I want to make that clear, because I think my previous post on this was a little unclear. I think it's an interesting story. It's in many ways a tragic story, but it's like the tragedy of Madeira, as recited by Melina Mercouri in Never on a Sunday. Did you know there's a musical of Never on a Sunday called Ilya Darling, which has got some great numbers in it, and a lot of bouzouki, and dancing, and there's a great scene. I think there's only one piece of video that survives the show back from the 1960s, where a trio of men are dancing with their feet and their hands on the floor, and it sounds rather ridiculous, but in fact it's very dynamic. And of course Melina Mercouri can't really sing, but that doesn't stop her putting over a tremendous star vehicle. And there you've got another example of somebody who was a star, and she went on to be the arts minister in the Papandreou government when democracy was reinvigorated in Greece following the fall of the junta. But it's an intangible concept, and however you distort the idea of star quality, however you distort the idea of tragedy, I think Kevin Spacey comes up to both, and I think it's very interesting seeing the contrast between Kevin Spacey, the actual star who's been brought low, and Dan Wootton, who is the crypto star who has been brought low. And there's a difference in quality, isn't there?